Hello again, boys and girls, and well, no, actually, we need to do that properly, doesn't it? I try to be a bit careful when I do that because I know that I think it sends some of the audio a little bit haywire. But anyway, welcome to episode 103 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you as always from YouTube. Usual kind of thing. I need to go on the tablet to make sure that everything is coming through loud and clear. And the subject of today's episode, which we're going to keep short and sweet, is the latest version of Guerlain's L'Homme Ideal. It is called L'Homme Ideal Extreme. Send in your thoughts on whether you think maybe we have got a few too many of these ideal men. You would have thought that the ideal man would be a little bit of a rarity, but at Guerlain, you can pick them off the trees, clearly. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Please click on the little bell so that you receive notifications of new videos. Please consider supporting my work on Ko-fi. Send in questions, leave comments, hearts, thumbs up, no matter where you're watching. All of those are very, very welcome and very much appreciated. And Keith gets the first comment again today, saying, I really enjoy getting to take in these episodes live. That's very, very kind. Thank you very much. Okay. L'Homme Ideal Extreme, like I said, we're going to keep this short because we could probably spend quite a bit of time talking about it. The very first L'Homme Ideal, which I have here, this was it, wasn't it? Yes, it was the Eau Toilette. Came out. I was a little bit shocked to rediscover this date because it was 2014, and I thought, gosh, has it really been 6 years of L'Homme Ideal? And it was a brand new, what's known as pillar. For Guerlain, so as opposed to a flanker, so it was a brand new scent, composed by Thierry Vasser, and feel free to let me know what you think of it. But my assessment of L'Homme Ideal has largely remained unchanged, really, since it came out, and it is that if you take in if you consider the latest masculine scents from all of the big players, the big boys, so Chanel, Dior. So I guess there we're talking about Sauvage from Dior, Bleu from Chanel. You could maybe throw in whatever insipid masculine Yves Saint Laurent have released in the last few years. Out of all of those masculines from the big brands, there was no question in my mind that L'Homme Ideal was the best. I mean, it's almost a little bit of a backhanded compliment, actually, because as you know, I don't have very much time for Dior Sauvage. I don't have time for Chanel's Bleu, and yet L'Homme Ideal was eminently wearable. I also thought it was trying to do something interesting by harking back to the scents from Guerlain from about 100 years ago that made use of almond notes and heliotrope notes. A lot of people saw this as a kind of male counterpart to Petite Robe Noire with the introduction of a cherry note, and I sort of get that intellectually, and yet I still never ever think Petite Robe Noire when I smell this or when I wear it. If anything, it's the almond that comes out very, very strongly for me, and so I'm taken back to some of the Guerlain scents from the earlier part of the 20th century. And it does what it does absolutely fine. It doesn't go into uncharted territory, and I think it highlights, and I'm sure I said this on Persolaise.com when I reviewed it. It brings out the real impossibility, the difficulty of a situation that a brand like Guerlain finds itself in when they are composing something for their mainstream range, because it's going to be produced in large quantities. It's going to have a substantial marketing campaign behind it, and so it has to be relatively safe from a business point of view because it has to succeed. And so I guess it was never going to be overly interesting or innovative or compelling for the likes of us watching this video. And having said that, it's fine. And then a couple of years later, they introduced the Eau de Parfum version, which I think to this day remains my favourite. A while back, when I was fortunate enough to interview Thierry Vasser, he said that he quite often finds that the second iteration of a perfume turns out to be his favourite, because it's almost as though he's made the first one and then he's put it out there and he sees how it actually how it actually functions in the real world, how people respond to it, what people like about it, what people don't like about it, and then he's able to go back to the drawing board and in a way perfect it. So I agreed with him that the second iteration of Guerlain L'Homme was superior to the first, and I think most people agreed also that the second version of L'Homme Ideal was superior to the first. But now we've got loads of them. We've already also got a discontinued one. Again, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the cologne that we don't have. There are 6 on the French Guerlain website at the moment. So there's the original, there's the Eau de Parfum, there's now the Extreme, there's a Cool, there's a Sport, and there's also an Intense. And you think, okay, you've got an Intense and an Extreme, you've got a Cool and you've got a Sport. You do feel like shrugging a little bit, thinking, okay, can't we have something else now? We'll smell it in a moment, but I must look at some comments. Bonjour from Paris says, Chang, you smells good, says hi, Persolaise. Smells like Elvis 1973, says Judy. You think so? This? Really? Okay. Melissa says, good morning from Texas. Hi there. Aperol Spritz. Is Ideal considered to be a commercial success as it was intended to be? Honest answer, I don't know, but I think the fact that we've still got flankers coming 6 years after the original shows that it isn't a dead duck by any means. They're pushing money into it. Q George, totally agree, even if it's a sweet scent but still maintains a sophistication. Yeah, I agree. Arkadiusz, my favourite one is Ideal Sport, but favourite out of all Guerlain frags is L'Instant for Women and L'Instant Magique are my absolute favourite ones, and third place goes to Vetiver Frozen. Thank you for sharing, Arkadiusz. Lulwa says hello from Bahrain, marhaba. Gino, good evening from Singapore, hello. 87 Lindsay, the EDP is absolutely amazing. There is nothing wrong with making a hit. Just ask the Beatles. We've gone from Elvis to the Beatles. What next? Quality ingredients from a niche house, and it does have that Guerlain thing going on still, in my opinion, but modern. Well, yeah, I'm glad you agree. There's nothing in inverted commas wrong with the EDP. I would much rather wear that, as I say, than what was the other one that came out from another brand that somebody said it's perfectly fine, to wear to the office, which I always just think is the weirdest thing to say about a perfume. I've probably said it myself. But, Mont Blanc Explorer, those sorts of very, very safe type. This is streets ahead of them. Bento Box Snickers Bar says, Guerlain's L'Homme Ideal line feels like they were trying to pull a Dior Homme. Interesting, maybe. Gino, this is not my favourite line from Guerlain, to be honest, but we'll continue to watch anyway. Thank you very much. Dr. Salto, maybe David Bowie is next. And Ilona says, hello from Gdańsk. Cześć. Okay, the extreme version of L'Homme Ideal, and as I say, we are going to keep this short and sweet, and then I will leave you in peace. You can see that the colour for the extreme version is a sort of burgundy, I suppose. Creed Aventus is office friendly too. Ashfaq, you are so going to get yourself kicked out of this channel. One of these days soon. Have I missed a comment? No, I don't think I have. Okay. This one, again, I've tried it, I've smelled it a few times, worn it a couple of times, and we will do a blotter update. So a few hours after the end of this broadcast, in the video description, I will add a brief blurb to say how the scent developed on the blotter and what it's like in its dry down stage. This is recognisably L'Homme Ideal, so it's got that kind of almond, maybe slightly cherry-ish thing happening in there. To be perfectly honest, I've actually I have lost track of the olfactory difference between Cool and Sport and Intense. I mean, I know I've smelt all of these, but I can't remember exactly what makes one distinct from the other one, if anything. The thing that I guess marks this one out is that it really is stripped of a lot of sweetness. And that's interesting because you don't get very many scents nowadays that dare to be completely woody or completely bitter. This is, and especially if you do a sort of side-by-side with the original or with the EDP, this has got the tangy leather base pushed right out to the front. And there is maybe a kind of booziness, sort of cognac feel, and maybe a kind of pipe tobacco feel to it that actually started making me think of Penhaligon's Roaring Radcliffe. I mean, that could be because that perfume was on my mind lately because I did a Penhaligon's video. But there is something there is something of the kind of, the post boardroom meeting chat over a drink with ice cubes clinking in the glass type feel about this. It's wood paneling on the walls and thick heavy carpets and dim lighting and walnut burr, that kind of feel. So I guess this is a L'Homme Ideal who is a lot more than 6 years older than the chap who appeared on the scene in 2014. Is extreme a good word for it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. If you wanted to convey the idea of a perfume actually being deeper and heavier, I don't know what word you'd use for that. I'm not sure if extreme is the right word, but L'Homme Ideal, deep, profond, would probably not work either. But deep L'Homme Ideal might be interesting. L'Homme deeply ideal. No, let's not start playing that game. So yes, if you think that the original was maybe a little bit too sweet, if you didn't like its cherry aspect being quite so prominent, then you may enjoy this one. Q George says rouge. Yeah, see, that might have been interesting, but I wonder if they would ever dare to use that word in another release, because of course, Guerlain Rouge has got to be reserved for Ami Rouge. But hey, Dior can take joy and call one of their perfumes joy. So having worn it a couple of times, having smelt the others, I think that my position number 1 medal still goes to the EDP, but that may just be a matter of personal taste, because what I love about the EDP is that it pushes that rose note out, and I guess that's the one that brings it the closest to Petite Robe Noire. Whereas here, yes, I suppose it's there, but it really is about the tangy leather. But it doesn't shout, like a lot of mainstream masculines. It keeps its card quite close to its chest, and it definitely becomes more sophisticated and more refined and more interesting the further it gets into its dry down. There's maybe something a touch snarly about it at the beginning, and so I wonder if that's going to mean that it doesn't do quite so well at the tills. You'll probably have a lot of sales assistants taking people's arms and sort of saying, just wait, just let it develop, and then sort of smell it. I remember my mum being told to always do that when she was still working in perfume, being told to actually hold the customer's arm and just talk to them, look them in the eye, talk to them for a few minutes before letting them bring their arm to their nose to smell the perfume, which isn't a bad idea, because the initial burst is not always what you want the customer to go away with. Okay, comments, and then I will leave you in peace. Dr. Salto says, Mr. Persolaise, brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. What would be an appropriate forum to hear any words from you on call-off perfume? Well, I would have to go and get myself clued up first, because I know nothing about that brand, so sorry. Arkadiusz, L'Homme Ideal in a red this time would be an honest name. Yeah, okay, that's true. Ashfaq, that ice-cold thingy, is it metallic? Say something similar to mimosa. No, I don't think so. That's not what came to my mind. And Paul is saying hello. Is it worth having both the EDP and this one, says 87 Linseed. Oh, but then those are really personal decisions, and I don't know. I mean, how many perfume bottles do you have? How many L'Homme Ideals do you want? My gut feeling is to probably say no. Just because I think the EDP is probably still the best, but you may prefer this one, so I can't possibly comment on that. You have to make that decision yourselves. I would love to see you reviewing Erba Pura from Sospiro, please, says Lena. Thank you very much. I'll bear that in mind. And how do you say that name? Finally caught alive. I've been obsessing over your videos. So good. Thank you very much. I am so pleased to be the subject of your obsessions. Don't over-obsess. It's not healthy, but just a little bit of obsession is healthy, but not too much. Okay. After a few hours, hopefully, I'll be able to do an update on the blotter. Please keep checking out my social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, the blog, etc. for details of the next video. Keep sending in ideas for other best of videos that you may like to see. So, for instance, best perfumes from a particular brand, or best perfumes with a particular note in them, the particular material. But until then, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for all your support. Stay safe, take care, and see you soon. Bye.